So the debate continues. Thank you, Alabama, for being the weirdest place on earth. It's been really quite an interesting ride, hasn't it? I've read a whole bunch of weird shit online thanks to them. The bill passed, and no one can claim misogyny for some reason. Perhaps because the governor that signed the bill in Alabama is a woman. That might have something to do with it. So instead of jumping on the misogyny bullshit out of Alabama, it's now, I can't believe the Christians did this. It's the Christians' fault this time. Just to make it clear on where I stand on this whole debate, I follow nature, I follow the natural order. Science has proven a few things, and the arguments that stem from both sides are fucking retarded because they don't align with science, so I ignore them. However, there's a few that I found quite interesting because they're very ideological thinking people, and it's very obvious to me that they don't know what the fuck they're talking about in parts. But I also noticed an interesting thread, and I'll get to that in a second. But let's go to the brain surgeon behind this week's, well, I might have three of these, so maybe not this week's, but behind this video.
What do you have to say?
It reads, I am a mother of 6 and a Mormon. Oh, full stop. I already know you're an asshole. I have no trust for Mormons. A mother of 6, no less, weighing in on an abortion rights from the Mormons who have notoriously 12 kids, is a weird place to start. I also looked at this person's, they put their location up there. I think they said they're from Oregon or some shit. But the fact that they're a Mormon enough tells me that they pretty much are, how would a feminist put it? Internalizing their misogyny. That's right. What's fun about this is she has little to no understanding of the arguments, even though she says they have a good understanding of the arguments surrounding abortion, and religious and otherwise. I've been listening to the men grandstanding about women's reproductive rights, and I'm convinced that men actually have zero interest in stopping abortion. Here's why. So, zero interest in stopping abortion. Well, let me give you this little grain of truth. The world has progressed for the better in most parts. And for us to tell a woman what they can or cannot do with their bodies is tyranny, in my position, because you cannot tell somebody what they can and cannot do. If they decide to go on a killing spree, you can't, hey, you can tell them, hey, don't do that, that's kind of fucking stupid, but you can't stop them, per se. You may be able to delay it, but if they have the conviction in their mind to get it done, you can't arrest somebody or detain or do otherwise unless they're A, mentally unstable, or B, have already committed the crime. Just because you say, I want to kill a bunch of people, doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to do it. Same too with abortion. Just because you might be against it, you cannot stop a woman from doing so. In fact, nature does it anyways, so what the fuck do you care, to be honest? It's, you got 3 months, pretty much. A natural abortion, a miscarriage as it's called otherwise, occurs within 3 months, first trimester. Sometimes you get stillbirths because the body aborts the fetus, but it kind of carries it to term anyways, so you have to have it. It's really disgusting. Let's not get into that. If you want to stop abortion, you need to prevent unwanted pregnancies. And men are 100% responsible for unwanted pregnancies. That is a gem of truth if I've ever seen one from a Mormon who can't help themselves but get pregnant and have 6 children. Yeah, no, for real, they are. Perhaps you are thinking it takes 2, and yes, it does take 2 for intentional pregnancies. But all, I love it when people capitalize as if they're emphasizing a word rather than shouting at us. Fucking idiot. Unwanted pregnancies caused by irresponsible ejaculation of men. It wouldn't be irresponsible sex. It wouldn't be irresponsible use of protection or condoms or whatever. But no, it's great. Don't believe me? Let me walk you through it. Let's start with this. Women can only get pregnant 2 days out of the month. Not true. You actually can get pregnant about a week or so out of the month. Between both cycles, there's a window of 5 to 7 days. There's 2 days plus minus 5. Actually, it's plus 5, but that's okay. It's 7 days. You got a whole week. So she's kind of off. But here's the fun part. That little bit is probably her only kernel of truth, and the rest of it is either rationality, or how can you put it? She's basically trying to rationalize her position from a gem of truth. She's taking a small kernel of truth and extrapolating it into a giant mess of ideological thinking. Every ideologue I've ever seen does this. Even the Bible has kernels or grains of truth and moral codes and thinking, whatnot. And some good moral lessons, somewhat, sort of, are in there. But then they rub their dogma all over the damn thing, and it turns into a giant pile of shit. So the justification or the original moral is destroyed. Case in point, thou shalt not kill. Good moral standing. That's pretty okay. But then God does it. So you're like, oh, you're a hypocrite, you piece of shit. All right, don't kill, but, you can. It's okay. Don't kill, but, Cain killed Abel, and that's okay. Don't kill, but Nephi killed his uncle for that Mormon bitch. And that's okay too, right? Because Nephi was told by God to kill his uncle. That makes it better. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, religious tirade aside, let's keep on going. That makes 24 days in a year women might get pregnant. Yeah, whatever. But men can cause pregnancy 365 days a year. Yes, we can. We certainly can. In fact, if you're a man who ejaculates multiple times a day, you could cause multiple pregnancies a day. So the toilet can get pregnant, tissue can get pregnant, socks can get pregnant, my hand can get pregnant, the sink, the sink? No, the shower can get pregnant. All these ways to get pregnant. If I ejaculate in the hot tub while hot women are jerking me off, does that make the women pregnant? I think they did that in that series, what was it called? The singing choir high school musical thing. God, I can't remember the name of the show. But apparently one of the kids thought he got his girlfriend pregnant when actually she was sleeping with somebody else. Anyways, in theory, a man could cause 1,000 unwanted pregnancies in just 1 year. What makes it unwanted? That's a good question. She's assuming that the only person that has the decision in this position is the woman. What if the man wanted a child? What if he purposely got that person pregnant? That could be true. That could happen. If the woman didn't want the child, then that's a whole other beast of problems, because the man did it on purpose, and that's an issue. That's a massive issue. Maybe they were talking about it and it's an oopsie. For example, my elder son, who's 16, was an oopsie. We were talking about having kids 5 years from when we got married. Well, a month or two later, by the way, I'm pregnant. Oopsie. It wasn't exactly an unwanted pregnancy. He was just pre-planned. But, what's unwanted? She's only assuming that only women get to decide whether it's wanted or not at this point. So men have zero say in this matter. What if the child wanted to be there? What if, let's say this Mormon dipshit decided God wanted this child to exist? So does God have a say in this, you Mormon person? What if God decided that you are supposed to get pregnant? Is that a wanted pregnancy by God? You're a Mormon. You believe in this shit. What makes it unwanted? I'd love to have that definition. And though their sperm gets crappier as they age, men can cause unwanted pregnancies from puberty till death. Actually, it's before puberty, just to kind of give you a little shot out there. Pretty much the moment we can ejaculate, we can get a woman pregnant. It's pretty grotesque. It's actually before puberty, but whatever. So just starting with the basic biology, the calendar, it's easy that men are the issue here. So she is going purely mathematical from the starting point of women can only get pregnant for a week out of the month, which makes it 12 weeks total that a woman can get pregnant. But a man can do it get a woman pregnant at any point in time. Assuming that they're sleeping around, I guess that's plausible. But, yeah, essentially, because men ejaculate, therefore unwanted pregnancy. That is the answers. No nuance, no multiple causes, no issues. No, if the condom breaks for some reason, or there's holes in it because it's somebody stupid, or your birth control works. Actually, you know what? I know a person that went through the pill, the birth control, spermicide, 2 condoms, not 1, but 2, and a diaphragm. And the lady still got pregnant. What does that tell you? It's not 100% safe. They used multiple forms. She still ended up having a child. And I guess that was an unwanted pregnancy in this person's definition. They didn't want to get pregnant, so they took every precaution necessary and still got pregnant. But men are totally the issue. Women aren't culpable. They aren't to blame for having sex at all. I mean, the only way that I would agree to this statement is if you were talking about rapists. That would be essentially an unwanted pregnancy because you didn't want to have sex with that idiot in the first place. They forced themselves upon you. Later in this little diatribe of insanity.
Nobody was asking you to interfere with what's going on. You got too far.
Yeah. Here we go. So it's not like sex with a condom is not pleasurable, just it is just not as pleasurable. An 8 instead of a 10. So she apparently knows male anatomy. That's absolutely fucking amazing. You seem to know it's better one way than the other on a male, and you aren't a male, so what gives you the right or the justification to know anything about a male? You cannot dictate anything about a man's body. Just as much as you don't want us to dictate anything about your body, don't dictate anything about our body either, including the assumption that you know how it feels. You don't. Please stop. Actually, don't please stop. Just stop. You're a fucking moron.
Stop that or I'll get annoyed.
Okay, and the next part that she put in here, let's talk more about responsibility. Yes, let's do. Apparently men are completely 100% responsible for this, so she's already made up her mind women are not responsible at all. Men often don't know and don't ask and don't think to ask if they've caused a pregnancy. Disagree? And how would you know? You're a Mormon of 6 children, which means you've probably been married since 21 because you look rather young. And if you're a classic Mormon, you married the person that came back from their mission, and then you've never married anyone else. So you've only slept with maybe 1 person in your life, maybe 2, if you did a little fling before they came back. Chances are, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about at this point. You're making a grandiose assumption and men-hating, which is absolutely amazing. I can only assume that you're no longer married at this point if you have a mother of 6 and you've gotten pregnant for all that money that you're now collecting from child support. But there is no consequences, right? For men, there's none whatsoever, even though I just named one. Yeah, no consequences whatsoever. It's something that we, too, are culpable for. And if you can prove, of course, some people claim that one got one pregnant and is lying about it, and therefore trying to get that person to pay because, well, they make money, why not? But if their person does get someone pregnant and they decide to keep it and go through with it and whatnot, then you can, in effect, keep that child away from the father, all the while collecting a fat paycheck from the father, and there's nothing a father can do about it. Isn't it amazing? Because I've been in that situation. So if you're trying to tell me that never happens, you're full of shit. I've been there. And it sucked. It was amazing what the hoops I had to jump through just to see my son from a bitch that was a Mormon just like you. But I digress. Let's continue on, shall we? So, they may never think of it or associate sex with making babies at all. Why? Because there's 0 consequences for men who cause unwanted pregnancies. Not fucking true. There's plenty of consequences for men that cause unwanted pregnancies. You just don't care. That's pretty much what it is. And to assume that men never associate putting their dick into people as to not making babies, that's the whole purpose of it. You're also assuming that we're stupid at this point. Thanks. I appreciate that. If the woman decides to have a baby, or they put the baby for adoption, the man may never know he caused an unwanted pregnancy with his irresponsible ejaculation. Or that he is now has a child walking around with 50% of his DNA. Yes, that is absolutely possible, because a woman could decide to go all the way through with it, give it up for adoption, and the man would never know. There are women that do this, because they don't notify the father. Maybe the father is a giant bastard and they were just sleeping with them because they were hot. And then they got pregnant and didn't want to let the father know, because then he'd go kind of crazy and like possessive, and it'd cause more drama than it's worth. I, in fact, know somebody that's like this in this particular situation, and the sperm donor, as it were, is a massive prick. So she didn't let him know. End of story. But let's continue on with this diatribe. I'm going to leave a link in the description for this thread. I hope you enjoy it. I'm going to skip to the other juicy parts of this. 61% of men who are legally required to pay for it simply don't. Not true. With little or no repercussions. Not true. Driver's license taken away. Job lost because you lost your driver's license because you can't drive. Jail time. Your taxes are taken away. Your property's taken away. You seize all your assets. They take it all out of your bank account. They deduct it straight from your fucking check once you get on a payroll. Yeah, there's no repercussions. You obviously don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I know plenty of men that would genuinely disagree with you, that if you think that men don't or women don't go vindictive when this shit happens, you're sorely mistaken. I don't know what boat you're talking from, but this is fucking retarded. The closest thing to a consequence for him is that he may need to pay child support. No, that's not the closest thing, but good try. But our current child support system is well known to be a joke. Oh yeah, really? Yeah, it is a joke for men. I've been in the situation where I've had plenty of fun instances to be the butt of this joke. I'm glad you find it funny. That's great. When the topic of abortion comes up, men might think it is horrible. Women should not have abortions and should never consider a man who caused, and never once consider the man who caused the unwanted pregnancy. If you're not holding the men responsible for the unwanted pregnancies, you're wasting your time. Well, guess what? Dipshit of Mormon descent. And never consider a man who caused the unwanted pregnancy. Still, it takes two, as you put it at the top. Just because men happen to ejaculate does not make us responsible for a woman's pregnancy 100%. Women and men should know their own bodies. Men should take precautions, and many do. If you think that they're slimy little dirt bags that slip their condom off and they just rape people on the side because why not? Clearly that's what you're thinking. Yeah, this is very, very insane. I understand the thinking behind this, unfortunately, and I'll get to that in a second. Stop protesting at clinics. Stop shaming women. Stop trying to overturn abortion laws. If you actually care about reducing and eliminating the number of abortions in this country, simply hold men responsible for their actions. Really? It's always the men's fault, huh? And you think we're just going to take it? We live in a land of equality now. Go fuck yourself. You should no longer have children. Period. No one should ever have sex with you again. Ever. How does that sound? Let's do that. I think we should do the Alyssa Milano's thought on this and just have that sex strike. Go ahead. Do it. I have no problem with that. So then, interestingly enough, she goes on and on and on about how it's just men's fault. And then she starts talking about vasectomies are safe, totally reversible, and is about as invasive as a doctor's exam for a woman giving birth control prescription. No. It's an outpatient surgery where they slice your ball sack open, tie it in a nice little knot, making it so you can't ejaculate, and then sew it right back up. Sure, it's reversible, but it has long-lasting effects on men, including, weight gain is just a small thing, but lower testosterone really fucks with you. Depression, suicide, anger issues come out with that too, weirdly enough. The big ones being depression. Instant weight gain is it happens whether you want it to or not. Lower metabolism, constantly tired or feeble, dark thoughts. They lose their jobs after this too. It causes plenty of problems when you lower a man's testosterone because you decided to tie his nutsack. But of course, vasectomy is the solution, right? Women aren't responsible for the unwanted pregnancies at all. It's men's fault. So therefore, tie their nuts in a bow.
Did I do that?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Oh, so in conclusion, you can see that she rants here again. Men cause 100% of unwanted pregnancies, or irresponsible ejaculations by men cause 100% of unwanted pregnancies. So in other words, she is 100% convinced that this is men's fault. Now, here's where it comes into the fun zone. She's clearly a feminist. She lives in Oregon. Makes perfect sense that she would think like this. Why do I say that? Feminism has taught women to hate men, target everything on men, blame men for absolutely everything that goes wrong in their lives. It is men's fault for everything. The patriarchy is the evil devil, and one must try to vanquish said devil. So that's where it is. You constantly see this fight over and over again. As for her ideological position, the reason why I wanted to cover this last, it's fairly simple. Women in Mormon positions in particular, the reason why she's reasoning like this and blaming all things on men is because in her religion she is taught she's worthless without her man. She can never hold the priesthood. She can never do anything that within the ranks of the Mormon church. She probably still goes and whatnot. Maybe she's still married. Who knows? I would reckon she's not with this kind of attitude. It's men's fault for literally everything. That's not a woman I'd want to keep around, and nor should any man unless they're weak in some way. And consider she's a mother of 6. That guy's going to be paying a couple $1,000s in child support for leaving a crazy bitch like that. So why would you? It might be easier to stick it out. I mean, she's kind of attractive, sort of, I guess. But with Mormons in particular, they can't even get into heaven without their man standing on the other side of the gates and whispering or saying their secret name to the gatekeeper to allow the woman into the gates of heaven, in through the gates of heaven. They are completely subservient to their men. So it's completely understandable that feminism takes hold in Mormon women, because then they can see the misogyny within the system. Now, interestingly enough, Mormonism is centered around misogyny. They practice polygamy openly. Women were property, essentially, to their men. I mean, they made it into the religious practice that women couldn't even do shit without their men. Like, none of the rituals, none of their blessings, none of that. Women had zero power. It all went to the male. It was complete matriarchal or patriarchal society. That's why they famously had 40 plus wives. Brigham Young had 42. Joseph Smith, the founder, had like 70 something across 3 states, I think, or something like that. Dude stuck his dick in more women than the moon has dips. It was pretty bad. But that's not all with these people. The reason why they want to point it at men and think that this is the solution is because they're flat out ignoring, that the only way someone can get pregnant is when sperm meets egg. That's it. Now, for sperm to get there, willing sex has to have occurred. If you're sleeping with a jackass, maybe you shouldn't be sleeping with a jackass. Just saying. I don't know what makes women attracted to assholes, but they're attracted to assholes. Maybe because they think it's a dominance thing, and that's how they are. But in my experience, those are the ones that usually cause unwanted pregnancies, to be sure. I know of a few people that would sleep with whoever, and once that person got pregnant and had the baby, they'd be interested for maybe the first year, and then they'd just start cheating on them and go to the next person and then have a baby and so on and so forth. I think he has 4 children by 4 mothers, and he pays out the ass. Like he's broke. He has literally nothing to his name. So you say, and the fun part is, they say there's no consequence for men. There's no consequence only if we never knew about it. It's very possible that men are not notified. Some, not all. However, if a man is notified and they try to be a part of that life or whatever, and the mom refuses, that's where the fun issues start. That's where court's involved. That's where child support begins. That's where men get screwed and shafted in the worst possible way. So there's no consequence, apparently, unless we're notified. So if you want no consequence, then to stand and be true, then the nuance of notification needs to be there. 100% of the ejaculation is our fault. So because we ejaculate, therefore unwanted pregnancy. How is that entirely men's fault? We ejaculate. So? All the time. Not necessarily in a woman either. I don't know a guy alive that doesn't beat his meat. There might be one. Who knows? And I'm imagining the husband, if this woman does have a husband, probably donates more sperm to the toilet or the sink than to her at this point. But then again, she has 6 children. So maybe. There's a lot going down her drain too. That's all I have for this one. I'll leave a link in the description so you can read this diatribe of nonsense. I wanted to point it out that the man-hating in this particular thing has been placated by trying to make laws that now tell men's bodies what to do. In actuality, what I don't think they realize is with the my body, my choice argument, which I'll be going over next time, there's a fundamental flaw in that argument, which ignores biology. And I'll get to that one next time. Hopefully you enjoy me then. Thank you for watching this video. I'll leave the link in the description, like I said, with this diatribe. That's a Twitter thread that I had the Thread app pull together. So it's still available. And I'll link it to you in the description below. Thanks.
I will always be most grateful. I must leave now.